Howdy folks, my name's Christian and welcome to Bullish on Farming. Today I'm just visiting our main herd. Had a frosty morning. I think it hit about like -3. And I just came out with the quad. We got a girl penned up because we moved this group out 2 days ago. And although this field got about 60 days of rest, it's our high and dry sacrificial field that we bale graze and inhabit for a bit longer with our cattle group. You can see I got all the bales kind of lined up back there, and it's about 3 weeks worth of bales for this group. And that's going to bring us about 3 weeks into November. Today's November 9th, and the plan is to keep the girls out until everything freezes too much that we can't really get water up to that water trough anymore. And this morning, the tub's about 3/4 full because the float froze, but this sun should thaw it right out. But I want to talk about this girl for a second because although the whole group is fine, I am aware of pasture bloat and how in the autumn season with your legumes and the frost in the morning, especially with certain grasses like Johnson grass, there is the threat of, changing the acid content in the forage and disturbing the rumen of the cow. And this girl was blown up like you wouldn't believe. She was still on her feet nibbling at hay, so I caught her early, but she looked like the hunchback of Notre Dame. The left side where her rumen on is not only bloated but significantly elevated, and so she was walking all on one side just to overcompensate for it. I know it's not the best lighting here, folks. I'm sorry about that. But so what did we do? We brought her into this fancy dancy cattle pen that we got with these I'm sorry, I'm going to turn off this quad. I really should have done that before. All off the cuff, folks. You know that. We're not perfect around here. It's just candid with the farmer. So we have these cattle panels that come from out west that are just really pipe that they are no longer industry standard, but are great for cattle panels because they're heavy duty. And we set up our ad hoc pen here. And what I did is I just got her on the harness. I was able to get the halter on her head, no problem, without roping her. And then we just pin it here. And with the quad, we create a chute. We just pull up right beside her and create a nice chute right here against the fence using this wall. And with the vet, I had to anti-gas her. For those of you who know what that is, you got to pretty much put the anti-gas formula down her throat, and then that balances out the rumen and allows the froth or whatever's built up there to pass or break down. And then you shove a tube down her throat and you release the gas from the front, and she releases from the back too. And we caught her early, so it wasn't anything really too crazy. But as you folks know, pasture bloat can lead to suffocation if you run cattle. And, we were just dealing with that as soon as we could. And so some people might say, well, why did you have your cattle on the fields if you know this? Well, we had some frost in October, but my new rule of thumb is frost in October, it might not be over. The frost in November is one to remember. And so although it was just one cow, I did take note. And for whatever that reason, it could have been certain conditions of her, not eating as much hay and really just grazing as much of this grass as she could, because the roughage of the hay would balance out the rumen. It could be that, or it could be that she has some type of, she's not as resilient to pasture bloat, as certain breeds would develop a certain type of, resilience to it, whereby they can tolerate a certain amount, and that would have just happened through evolution. And, the owners said that they never had problems with these cattle on pasture at this time of year, but then again, they were never really on the field this long in the year because of the decisions we made with mob grazing. We've extended our grazing season, and I've also incorporated this technique of bale grazing, this high and dry field, for about 3 weeks to keep the animals on the land. And so that pasture bloat situation, it was just part of the game. But because we're out here with the animals daily, I caught her about 3 p.m., that cow who was getting into pasture bloat. And Well, you know, if I had just gone home, who knows? She may have passed overnight. Pasture bloat is no joke, but if you deal with it correctly, in a short, and you catch it quick, it's usually not fatal. So as you can see, I rolled out a bale for these girls this morning. I really want to incentivize them to eat hay more than the grass. Although I can't completely prevent that, by rolling out fresh hay a little bit more in these first days after this frost, I'm going to feel more comfortable with that, because first choice I want to incentivize as the hay. And then, you know, I'll start to taper back in a few days and let them scoop up the hay residue, because they will. But I rolled this out with the quad, and I just stuck the rebar through the bale with a post pounder. Got a toe strap, do it yourself method. I have a video on that. And you know, the video I made, I was kind of filming at the same time. It didn't work out, but I can usually roll out a bale in one go. You learn the right speed and how to just tether the strap, and it works beauty. So we got the cattle here on the field, folks. November 9th. We're happy about it. Weaned 12 calves out of the group. Still got some calves with their mums. They're going to be weaned at the end of the month. And this is probably about a 6-acre field with a nice wooded section over there for shade. And got everything they need. And I just want to say how clutch it is to have those cattle panels over there, because instead of driving a cow all the way back to the barn, you can deal with things up here. And it makes you think, well, maybe you should have a barn up here. I think the original plan years ago when the owners had this farm was to put one, but they decided to put it where it was before. But those cattle panels are great. I think all in, it was just a few $1,000s. And for managing your animals and handling them, the ease that it offers you, it's worth it, because those things will probably last forever. So yeah, folks, things are warming up today. The sun's going to be saying bye-bye to that frost in no time. But you know, on the dewy mornings with a lot of moisture, if you have legume cover, you want to be very careful. The alfalfa, the clovers, that's what you want to watch out for, especially those with heavy legume presence in your field. I would not really opt to graze those fields at this time of year. If you can, graze fields that are predominantly cool season, warm season grasses. And you know, I underestimated this field, because although it got rest, folks, I mean, it wasn't much longer than this. It had some fluff up top, but it was golf green. And I thought, you know, it doesn't really matter the size of the plant. I know this, but I just underestimated the field. And I thought, we're rolling out hay. It's all going to balance out. We're going to be fine. But like I say, just one cow out of the group had a trouble. We dealt with it. And I hope that just goes as a warning for other people. It's something to be conscious of. But we are grateful to keep our cattle on the land. And, you know, we do the best for them to make sure that that works, and that these animals are succeeding. And if they need any help, we're there for them. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to enjoy this day. I hope the same for you. I want to say God bless you all. And thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the next one.